Hello, everyone. Hey, I'm here with Shez, and we are just going to kind of sit down and talk about, if you haven't figured it out yet, first quarter is flown by.
It's done.
I was on the way to school with Trey today, and he was counting out 3 weeks of school left.
Dang, that's close.
Unbelievable. So anyway, I thought I'd pull Shez in here for all you guys. We're going to talk about first quarter recap. And then we're going to talk about kind of what's top of mind for us for second quarter. And I think it's important for, especially our clients to kind of talk about some of the stuff that we're doing internally, stuff that we're doing externally, technical, non-technical stuff. So let's just get this thing kicked off. First and foremost, you got a new role. Title.
I do have a new title. Yeah.
New experience. So what did we give you? What are you doing?
So I was moved to the client operations manager role. So I had my title kind of adjusted. I want to say that was start of the year, just after January that change was made.
Yeah. And so how's that experience been?
It's been awesome. It's been unique. I think it's a change in the way I prioritize my work every day. I'm not necessarily doing different things, but I have to focus different things, if that makes sense, which I enjoy.
I think the biggest thing for us, I think you were kind of already doing it. I think it was a lot more of just an acknowledgement to get that done. So you and I are, I don't know, direct reports, I guess, for all intents and purposes. Most everyone's a direct report to me, but we've given you a lot of responsibility. And you're pretty much, so what does that mean? You're managing the entire technical team.
I'm managing the entire technical team. Yep.
So that is, well, let's talk about some of this other changes that we made. So the changes we're making are really just to be more in alignment with what we want to be doing to grow. You know what I mean? So one of the things that we've been I hate to use the word struggle, but working towards is the fact that we don't want our help desk, and I think our clients can agree with this, is that our help desk is not comparable to other people's help desk. And that really bothered me, right? So when we're out talking with clients and we say we have a help desk, it really does a disservice to Victor and his team on what we are calling now our technical services team.
Absolutely.
So kind of talk to us a little bit about back in the old IT, right, or what our competitors are doing. They got this tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. We don't do that here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's compare apples to apples about what our technical services team does compared to other help desk services.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot to that, and I think like you said, it was frustrating because whether it was through interviews or kind of talking to new clients or potential clients, they hear the word help desk, and there's this connotation. There's this connotation that you're going to get a different person every time. That different person has no idea what's going on, whether that's documentation or skill, and it's typically a 30-minute to 40-minute tap out, kick it up, let someone else handle it. That's kind of the experience you hear about the most. So with us, and I kind of, like I said, when I'm interviewing guys or when we're talking to clients, what we try and explain is it's very rare that the first person you get on the phone isn't the person that sees the issue through and gets it fixed. So I think the first touch resolution is a big deal.
Yeah, so that's a key term, first touch resolution.
First touch resolution, yeah. And I think even that in the industry can be misused because it's not a ticket's closed, it's a true first touch resolution. The issue's fixed and it's fixed forever. It's not a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing. The other thing is there's kind of this limitation of access and work people are allowed to do in these tiered levels. Now, we are conscious of the risk we put on techs. Hey, if you're not familiar with this, we're not.
Yeah, they don't have the same visibility or access as what our solutions team, our admins have. Correct.
Exactly. So when we bring someone on our services team, the point is, as soon as you're ready, you're going to start doing this kind of work. You're going to shadow. You're going to be trained. You're going to be shown how to do it. I was talking to a guy recently, a buddy of mine that works in Salt Lake, and I said, our technical service team is setting up branch office VPNs. They're deploying our WatchGuards. They're a part of our Duo rollouts, for example. And, just talking to him, he said, those guys are doing that. The same people that answer the phone and respond to emails. And I said, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because all it does is make them better and the whole team better.
Yeah, I think one of the other things is the fact that, right, so our SLA internal, our mantra for our technical services team is 329 internal, right? We answer every phone call within 3 rings, respond to every ticket, email within 29 minutes, okay? Operationally, that is the baseline for us.
Yep.
Okay, so here's what's interesting to me. Let's talk about dispatch model.
Dispatch model, yeah.
Right? I mean, that's total bullshit. Right? So if we say that we're going to answer every phone call within 3 rings, right? The problem is that the other IT companies are going to this dispatch model and they're answering every single phone call.
Yeah.
But what's the problem with dispatch? The dispatch model.
So there's a couple of things in my opinion. So the dispatch model typically, because you'll see stats thrown on websites.
Oh yeah.
This many calls answered, none gone to voicemail, none dropped. They're answering the call, but no technicians being assigned the work, and not even technician, no employees being assigned the work.
Yeah.
So you can answer the phone, but if you get it to someone to get eyes on it and get it fixed, is completely different. The problem there too is typically the person in that role isn't technical. It's not someone that can decide, is this urgent? Is it important? Who needs to take on this work? Is this an admin, or is this a junior sysadmin job? The other thing too is I think we obviously have some moving of tickets around for workload balancing and just who's familiar with clients. But it's not done on the front end. It's done if needed. And it's very rare that it's needed because we're training from the bottom up too. Hey, you took this call, someone's working with this client, we're making a change. Why not make them aware and just get it moved right on over?
Yeah, and I think so. The dispatch model, I think, is total BS. Mm-hmm. I think it's a Band-Aid to the bigger problem, right? So, we answer all the phone calls. You call in. No one wants to call in to dispatch.
No.
Right, because they're just taking information. What's the problem with dispatch? The problem with dispatch is they call in, they create the ticket, goes into the queue or into the black hole. Let's call it, right? And then more often than not, they don't get any response, right? And I think it's important to understand, like, phone calls for us, right? So the nuance with phone calls is, I would say that some of our clients that have older employees, and I don't mean that to be discretionary, but they prefer to pick up the phone and make a phone call.
Absolutely.
Okay. We're okay with that. But I'll tell you what, when do most people pick up the phone and make a phone call?
When it's an emergency or it's an urgent issue.
No shit. Yeah. Like, so that I think is an important telltale. Like our C-suite, all of our guys, owners, right? VIPs, what we call them in the organization. When it's going on, they're not sending an email. They're picking up the phone and making a phone call.
Yep.
Right?
They're staying on the phone.
Yeah, and I think it's important. We see them calling in, right? So we already understand what's going on, right? The visibility, what you guys have done with our PSA and our ticketing system, and we're going to talk about a little bit more the integration that we've done with Microsoft Teams Voice. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really has put the technical service team in a position to win.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think that 329 thing, from a marketing standpoint, everyone can say, yeah, we answer the phone, we do whatever. But that's not what we do. It's first resolution.
It is.
Right?
And the part I wanted to add on the dispatch, now that I'm thinking about it, that bothers me too, is I'll see, I stay in the loop on other MSPs and IT companies. I like to read about it. And there's always these posts I see about answering every phone and ending the week with 0 tickets. I will tell you, we never, ever end the week with 0 tickets. And that's not because we're not fixing things, but there is just it's unrealistic. And that's where you kind of create these bad habits of, well, your numbers need to say 0. It doesn't mean you need to do a good job and help fix the issue. Get it closed out as quick as you can, get it moved along, which turns into a lot of finger pointing in my opinion.
Right. And I think it's interesting. So one of the things that is like when we want to onboard a client or we put together a quote, it's almost mandatory that they come into the office, mm-hmm. right? And I think it's important for them to come into the office, first of all, because I think it's about building a partnership, right? And they walk in here and they see their entire IT team. As well as I do, how many times that people have walked in here and just been like blown away. Because this behind that door is not your normal All right. And I would also say go check out the new website. All of those photos are genuine. That's all of the team, right? We brought Ebony in here, shot all the photos. That's authenticity. You know what I mean? But I also think that it's interesting is when they walk in, they see our monitors.
Yep.
Right? On our monitors are all of our tickets. Yep. Right? And everyone has visibility in what's going on with those tickets and accountability. You know what I mean? So we're never going to be a ticket count. Now, let me answer this stat. Of all the tickets that we have open right now, right, with the technical services team, how many of those are customer or client waiting? Like we've responded to the ticket and we're waiting for the client to respond back to us.
It's probably less than 2 or 3. It's all of them. There's not a time I can remember the last time a call went to voicemail, and I can remember the last time an email didn't get touched in 29 minutes. There's not a single ticket that is us bottlenecking or prolonging the resolution. Now that doesn't mean we have all the answers. It's us getting more info. It's us trying to make sure we understand the situation.
We've got a third party call into what we were just talking about. We got a port blocked. Yep. We're helping out vendor IT. We're doing Nmap, right?
Yep.
We're actually telling them what is wrong with the program. So these people, and it's month end, right? And it's an integration in with QuickBooks. So
that's a lot of what we do too. Is hey, here's the stats. Here's what you need on your side to get this fixed. So.
Yeah, and I think it's a confidence in the fact that our clients reach out to us and say, hey, listen, this is not working. I also think it's important to understand is the fact that we never say that's not our problem. Mm-mm. We're there to fix the problem. I mean, that's what our clients are hiring us for, right? I mean, they trust us. They continue to trust us because we continue to fix these problems. I mean, we take a lot of tickets, right, that our third-party vendor, that is not even really our problem.
Probably, yeah. I would be interested to run the report on that, but it's definitely at least 30%, if not more, of what we're doing is it's some kind of third-party vendor with the operating system, the device, the tool that's having an issue.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that they're reaching out to us because we're picking up the phone or we're responding to email and we're trying to get traction for them. Mm-hmm. So I think the change. We do not have a help desk, right? We're almost like second level tier 2, right? In the way, right? Our guys are highly skilled. They have access, and we've empowered them to fix the problem. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what clients want. They want someone on the phone that has confidence, that has the aptitude and the resources to fix the problem.
Yeah, I don't know how frustrating it would be to hear, I know what the problem is. I have to wait for so-and-so because I don't have the access or the password to fix this for you.
Yeah, and I think, so you guys know, and you guys haven't figured this out yet, right? Anything that's industry standard, right, in the MSP or MSSP, which we're kind of moving into, I'm looking at trying to throw darts and daggers and cut it out because it's typically not pro client. Mm-mm. It is pro MSP.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So that was it. So we've done away with the terminology help desk.
It's gone.
We moved everything to technical solutions, that's our admin team, but our technical services team. That's been updated in the new services overview, mm-hmm. right? Ruben came back, our attorney said, you can't call an agreement. It's an overview. So we had to make that change. That was another thing that came out in quarter 1. Excuse me. So technical services team, our admins, mm-hmm. We call them part of our solutions team. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about this. So if, based on your example, right, talking to your buddy down in Utah and us empowering our, services team, if our services team is doing that, what heavy hitting is our solutions team doing?
It's large moves and changes, and that's very broad, but it's true IT business road mapping and planning. I don't know how else to put it because the world we're in now, IT is such a big part of what a business needs, the technology, and there's places where it's more needed than others, but that team is solely reserved for large business direction changes, servers to the cloud, cloud back down to on-prem, Maybe they want to move their email off on-prem, different things that are going to impact the business in a large way. It's large-scale projects that have obviously multiple resources and multiple hours, days, weeks to get it done.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but even new security rollouts.
Security rollouts are a big part, yep.
Right? I mean, and that's just not keeping your, firewall up to speed.
No,
right?
It's a lot more than that, especially in today's time.
Yeah. And on the new website, I thought we'd do a really good job of laying out what a really good cybersecurity, network security platform, regiment, methodology, framework, whatever the hell you want to call it, is out there.
Yep.
Right? Security is not one thing, it's 20 things.
At least,
right? It's not one door, it's a bunch of doors, right? And so I think we're making a pretty good shift for that, and I think that's been pretty cool. I also think that we've got a lot of clients that are growing.
Ton that are growing.
And reaching out to us, and we're doing a lot of, like you said, IT road mapping, IT planning, putting together solutions. And even the conversations that we've had over the last 45 days is the client coming to us, whether it's in financial services, healthcare, manufacturing, which are kind of our big three, they're wanting to grow, right? And they're asking the questions, okay, this is what we want to do. What's the best way to get there? And the cool thing for us is the fact that we actually sit down and we figure out, we give them option A, option B, pros and cons to both, right? Because that's one of the things that we don't do, or I can't do, is the fact that, listen, I don't understand what your risk tolerance is, right? Especially on the security standpoint, or what the budget is,
yep.
Right? But if we're going to plan and we're going to have a partnership, and that's the other thing, is we're really not talking about agreements, right? Or it is a partnership. I think the exercise that we did at the beginning of the year, I would reply, or I would describe those guys as partners. It's bilateral. Mm-hmm. So bilateral. And, part of the solutions team is the fact that, they're coming up with some crazy designs, right? Just what we talked about. Moving a server on-prem to the cloud is easier said than done.
It's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah. Most people, everyone talks about, get to the cloud, save money, do this and that, and whom and how. IT money is IT money. It typically it's either shifting from a capital expenditure, right, where we're spending, $20,000 on a server, or it's going to an operating side, OpEx, where they're not spending $20,000, but they're going to have to spend, $1,800 a month in licensing, hosting, and, all the things.
Yep, all the resources.
Yeah, so it's just the dollars are being reshifted. The vendors are not walking away from those dollars.
No,
right?
They are not.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. Microsoft on this subscription model, they continue to raise their prices.
Yep.
Right? Why are prices going up, Microsoft? Prices should be coming down.
No, and they're pulling things out too. So a lot of our clients obviously are aware of this. Prices are going up, and they're pulling features out. And those are
with Teams, right? Most people don't understand that Microsoft Teams now on license renewals is not a part of standard licensing.
It's its own standalone now.
You have to buy a Teams license. Mm-hmm. That's just batshit crazy to me.
Well, not to mention the security features. Microsoft, you can argue if you like them or not. They have a lot of pretty good security features baked in, but they don't come with those kind of standard licenses. They're the P1, the P2, and a lot of these things protect people from
their own dog food.
Yep, exactly.
Right. So we're going to feed you. This steak, but in order for the steak not to kill you, you're going to have to add these, additional added. It really is crazy because Microsoft knows what the vulnerabilities are. Mm-hmm. And they want to protect you, but it's going to cost you X.
Yep.
That's crazy to me, but that's the world that we live in, right? 85% of our clients, would you say, are Microsoft versus Google?
At least, yeah, 85 at least,
yeah. Yeah, and right, I'm me, I'm a big big Google workspace kind of guy. But anyway, so that's kind of the side with the technical solutions team. And then from there, we kind of field services, right? We got those guys running all over crazy, doing whatever. Kind of our concierge, right? Yeah. Making it happen. Pickups, drop-offs,
smart
hands, whatever it needs to be. I think it's really cool that we got the calendar up there for them. So at any given time, when we're walking up, we see where everyone's at. Getting those guys organized.
Yep.
That's been powerful. I think the other thing is the other big change we made was we got away from the term bench services.
Yep, it's no longer bench services.
Will, who's manager of that group, it just has evolved, right? And we call it hardware procurement and repair. I think Sue made up a good thing with her days over at HP, and it really is fulfillment.
Fulfillment, yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're probably going to be making a small little change there. But Will's team, right? So we added Connor.
We did. We hired Connor a couple. We're probably 90 to 120
Yeah,
days
so he'll be
in.
coming in to his. Actually, he just had a 60-day review, I think.
60, yes. He's probably coming up on 90.
Yep. He's been fantastic. Right now,
Awesome.
Now, if you ask Will, he'd be like, I don't know how we were doing it without him.
Well, seeing it now, I'm wondering the same thing.
Yeah,
the workload hasn't dropped.
Yeah, exactly. So he's spending more time like on the bench, right, in the room, and I see him in there. He's got like 6 laptops going on. He's building S2s. He's building S1s. We're doing repairs. We just forklifted the KVM.
Yep, we went to a bigger KVM for that exact reason because we needed more capacity.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. We're FedEx is up, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did a request for a proposal, and they wanted to know like who our vendors were. I put FedEx on there.
Absolutely. I don't think there's a day we don't have FedEx stopping by for a package. I think it's an everyday thing.
Yeah, I mean, and for those of you kind of who don't know, right, we kind of specialize in clients that are in multi-state, right? FedEx is partner. We got stuff. In fact, I just come in this morning. We got like 5 laptops going out for a client, all remote, and they're all going all over the place.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I want to say this. So we're sending custom personalized notes out for all of the repairs that we're doing.
Yep, we are.
Parrish, did you know that? Yeah. So I forget who the vendor was. It was Initial Ascent.
Yeah.
Right. So I've been looking for backpacks for the team. So everyday carry, right? And Parrish Initial Ascent Caldwell. They do technical hunting packs. So anyway, they had this EDC. So I ordered one. And they're just at Caldwell. I probably could have went and done will call, picked it up. Anyway, they sent it to me. And in there was a personal handwritten note.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, small company, getting after it, great products, made in the USA, like all the things. And I was like, you know what? That's pretty badass. So in Chris fashion, I came in, and I think you remember I talked to the hardware team. I said, okay, here's what we're going to be doing. What do you think? I gave it to Will, loved it. So now Connor, Jeremy, primarily, not so much Will, we created these half-sheet postcards. And all the repairs and the rollouts, those guys are just writing a note saying, hey, thank you. I built this machine, right? If you have any issues, reach out to us, and we'll get you taken care of.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's cool. And they little, congrats on the new role, even different things.
New hire, right?
Hire,
Welcome.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and handwritten.
Yep.
Now, heaven help us, because some of the handwriting is not as what it should be, but
it adds to the feel,
it definitely is. But that's one of the personal touches that we've done around here. That's just a little thing, but it's really cool.
It's cool, and it's awesome, because one of Will's things that I think is, Will's awesome in a lot of ways, but he adds these printed, formalized documents whenever we send these out to new hires with a reminder of, hey, open it the day before you start. If you have issues, let us know, with approval from the client, because we don't want to make sure they're working when they're not supposed to. And then in addition to that, now they get these little, this was built by Connor, this was built by Jeremy, or, excited for you. Just different things. I think it just adds this whole rounded out package to the hardware fulfillment team. That's kind of, it's just cool.
Yeah. I mean, what's our competition doing? Now hold on. We don't have competition, right? And you and I can talk about that, because I agree with that too. But like, what are other, maybe I should rephrase it, what are MSPs? You think when they get a new hire, right? In hardware procurement and fulfillment's the thing. Most, Dell has a hard time with it. Ingram has a hard time with it, right, based on inventories and stuff like that. We carry a ton of inventory for that reason. But you think they're sending personalized messages and putting the new hire or the new employee in a position to win?
No, I was surprised to find out it's very rare that they offer hardware onboarding or procurement as a service.
Yeah.
That's actually, I'm kind of surprised that's less of a thing than it is. And a lot of the time it's not done right. My dad works in a kind of technical role at the state, and he can't name, because I was talking to him about kind of how our hardware team works, and he couldn't name a time that they have had a employee onboarded and they've actually started working that day, if not that week.
Yeah.
And that's just because it's kind of this, half-baked solution.
Yeah, and that's another thing where we talk to, potential clients, and they're just like, yeah, everyone says that. But when we bring them in here and we actually show them the process that we go through, then it becomes real. Like, oh shit, I can see why those guys can get that stuff out. And no more importantly, when I take them back to the shipping room, like who wants to come into their managed IT services company and go see FedEx or shipping and receiving? The other thing is we continue to enhance that. Like it is a full-blown shipping and receiving, right? Because product is coming in. It typically is not coming in because for sit on the shelf. It's coming in because it has a specific need. It's got a repair tied to it. It's got whatever. It's coming in. It's being married to a part that's coming in from somewhere other place, or we have it in stock, right? Then it's going to the tech, right? Tech takes the part, takes the hardware, the repair, gets it done, turn it over. I mean, what do we turn repairs around in?
It's almost always 24 hours, unless there's a part need, obviously, for order. What's awesome, too, is obviously everyone's aware of our tickets. Right there at that same rack, they receive the hardware. There's an asset tag or a serial number for what was ordered. That receipt, that purchase order has the ticket number. It's moved to that tech. That tech starts working on it. It's a completely automated kind of workflow and process.
Yeah, I think our hardware team, fulfillment, procurement, and repair, we going to get that name right? Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, the documentation that we have, I mean, talk about the onboarding documentation that we have. It's 2 pages for one client, 8 pages for another client, just based on the roles and what they want to do, right? Every client is customized. Every client is customized. Now, Will has also done a really good thing, and those aren't paper copies. I think we've got them almost digitized.
Yep.
So now they're sitting inside the ticketing system, so it's even more efficient.
Yep. Yeah, it provides visibility too. I think what we're eventually going to do is open it up to the clients, but they can jump in and see kind of a somewhat, Domino's Pizza Tracker view of, hey, they've got accounts created, or they're waiting on the device, they're waiting on the hardware. So I think the visibility is a big thing. And then just the, paper. We're in a digital world, I joke, but it just provides a little more efficiency. They're not having to get up to the printer, use a pen. They can do it all from their station or from the bench room. So.
Yeah, so I just wrote down another thing, right? This video might run a little long, Parrish, right? Because there's all these other great things. Also, what you helped us roll out is the client portal.
Yep.
I didn't have that on the list, but that's pretty damn important.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for our larger clients, right? And just so we're clear, when I talk larger clients, I'm talking anywhere from, 100 to 300 employees. You know what I mean? Because we have a lot of co-managed, right? The interesting thing is, I think a lot of MSPs are intimidated by the co-manage. Dude, we love it.
Yeah.
Right? The relationships that we have with, like Bonnie, Jesse, Steve, Jerry, whatever, either on the operations side, the hard HR side, or the
just leadership. Lou in there too.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, all those guys are fantastic, but the kind of the single point of contact, and they just continue to have stuff down. But I mean, for some of these larger clients, I mean, we got 150 to 100 tickets in the queue at any one point. Okay. The thing that's awesome about the client portal is the fact that our co-managed clients, these IT directors, I guess, can go into the portal and they can see every single ticket that we've got going and opened.
Yep.
For them. How powerful is that?
It's huge. And they can even, if they want, which it's not always, they can go back and look at closed too, quality of work, or just historical reference, whatever they want.
They can see the notes, the time, right? I mean, all the stuff. They could add a private note to it. They can, do whatever.
Yeah, Bonnie's the big. I love that Bonnie. A lot of the tickets I see now, she's not emailing. They're notes from the portal.
Oh yeah,
which I think is awesome.
Yeah, we got a call with her at 2:00. Another case in point is the fact that that's one of the things that we do for our large clients is we do quarterly calls. We talk about what's working, what not working, and listen, what are you crazy people doing for the next quarter and through the end of the year? Those are important for the clients so they can tell us what's going on. But you know what? It's also important for us is because we can then understand what our growth and our staffing needs to be, right? Because our 329, our staffing is not going to go down, right? In order for that to be, we need to have visibility. Well, how do you have visibility? You have it through communication. How do you do it through communication? Meetings, right? Scheduled meetings, not like whatever. And I know we got this going on with Bonnie, and Bonnie's like, oh, she loves these.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So does Jerry, right? And Lou, you just had one with Lou, and he just outlined, said, hey, this is what's coming down, right? We want to start moving, Lucid chart to you guys to start managing that SaaS, application, et cetera, et cetera. So that's another big thing that I think we do really well here is our quarterly reviews. We always bring in lunch. The guys love it because, it's Goodwood or La Cabanita or whoever it is. By the way, has fantastic catering. So yeah, the client portal was another one that we did here too. So hardware fulfillment, those rock stars.
Yeah. Our whole company's, I think, efficient. You can't get much more efficient, but those guys really do have it down to a science. It's just chugging. It's probably the most autonomous team here.
Yeah. I came in the other day, and Connor was in the back, kind of feverishly working on a packaging laptop, and I was like, "Who's that going?" He says, "It's going to Canada on a last minute, hire." So HR knew they had to hire, kind of forgot to get it out to us last minute, and we got a note from Jesse saying, "Hey, listen, you guys got to make this happen."
Get this done.
And we made it happen.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of confidence that our clients have with us. Now, it's also important to understand is the fact that we're very conscious about how we have to continue to scale that, right? Because I think as companies continue to grow from a revenue standpoint, the revenue continues to grow, right? And the customer service starts to
plummet.
Yeah. And that's not us, right? Our customer service is our competitive advantage, right? I mean, it actually is probably our number one sales revenue driver.
Without a doubt.
Right? I mean, the referral, I mean, we've grown our business based on, referrals. Well, why a referral? Well, because they're saying, what are you doing? You need to go talk to, Adam's Technology Group and have a completely different experience.
Yeah, they actually do it.
Well, and I think the thing for us is, all of our monitors and our KPIs and stuff that we're looking at, everything starts with 329. Everything starts, right? And we already know how we're going to grow that, right? Alpha Pod, Bravo Pod, Charlie Pod, Delta Pod, right? We already know what that looks like. We've already made the changes into our PSA. We've already integrated into teams. Why are we doing that? We don't have to do that. We're investing into what the next 12 to 24 months looks like.
Absolutely. And even the example you gave of the Canada last minute shipment, if you're in a constant state of catching up, or like you said, revenue's growing and you're not making the same changes in the business, you can't do those things like we did for Jesse. It makes it harder because you're already behind. You're already getting to the last thing that came in, the next thing that you can barely catch up on. So it's not easy, and I think people kind of understand that, but it's very intentional. It has to be. It has to be to provide that kind of turnaround time, service, and support. It has to be intentional.
Yeah, and I think it's important, and maybe you agree with this, is the fact that techs don't like to be in the state of always behind, right? Because that creates stress and timeline and all this other stuff. We're so far past that our guys are out there just like kicking ass.
Yeah.
And because we put them in an environment for them to win, right? I'm always saying, listen, are we putting our clients in a position to win? Yes or no?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, how do we put them in a position to win? Well, we got to be doing this, this, and this. Okay. Well, then let's get after it and make it happen.
Make the change, do what we got to do.
Right. I think if we look at manufacturing, financial services, healthcare, right? Those are three different industries, but there's a lot of commonality between all those, right? They all have employees. They're all using Windows. They're all onboarding, offboarding. Some of them, healthcare probably has a higher turnover rate. Financial services probably is a high turnover rate. Not so much, I don't think we've seen on the manufacturing side. At least on the admin side, where we're management, they may have a higher turnover rate, in the shop and stuff like that. But we're in a few sectors that have pretty high turnover. I mean, we could be onboarding, offboarding, multiple people at the same time, right? Who's hiring, who's firing, et cetera, et cetera. Well, that takes operational efficiency.
Yeah. Consistency.
Yeah. Right. And that's why we spend so much time, trying to be better. Right.
Yeah.
Because we want to grow and we want to scale.
Yeah, we don't want to be the point that we're ever the bottleneck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Large growth spurts, changes, redirection, refocusing of the client themselves, which takes, hey, now we're going to leverage technology in this way. We never want to be the one that's not ready for it.
Yeah.
You have to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah. Well, and I also think it's important that I think a lot of our clients call in and they work with the same team over and over again, right? There's that support is institutional knowledge, right? We talk about that in-house. We're not letting that be negated either, right? So when you call in, you're intentionally being put in the same pot. I'm not going to get into our secrets, but it's very powerful, right? And that came from feedback, obviously, from one of our clients and saying, okay, so let's put together teams, right? We're trying to we're solving problems, right, for our clients, right? Yep. And there's a lot of conversations around that. You and I have a lot of those conversations.
Yeah.
It's not like, why didn't we get the server out on time? It's more like, okay, listen, client A came in and said, hey, we're going to be doing this over the next 12 months. How are we going to make it happen? So we're always, the bench line for us is 329. No bullshit dispatch model or whatever, everyone else is going to. That's not pro client. That's pro MSP. That's not what we're about. Okay, what else do I have on my list here? What are we missing? Field services has been rock and rolling. Solutions team. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but I think this is kind of a big thing. Let's talk about the misconception that some of our clients had about removing their server and going to the cloud and wanting to use SharePoint.
Yeah, I think it's it's not a one-step decision. I'll start with that. There's so many things involved. Obviously, depending on your business, you have some kind of platform, right? Whether that's an ERP system, your accounting platform, and all the other things. So just to start, do those applications support cloud management? Are they required to run on a system, or can they be available in the cloud or hosted by the vendor? Data is the biggest thing I think we're running into too. Depending on how long you've been around and what you're storing on your servers, what is it going to cost you to move that to the cloud?
That's right. I just move it to OneDrive.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But Microsoft wants their money.
Yep, they want their money, and they make you pay for it. You also have the limitations. Obviously, if you're using Microsoft servers, depending on what kind of job you do, that ingress and egress traffic of the internet is all dependent on what Microsoft's going to let you do, and you pay for that as well. So there's quite a bit of questions and conversations that go into making the decision. Hey, we want to forklift, these 2 servers, these 8 servers into the cloud. Before you can really make that decision. Yeah,
and I think the other thing is what are we doing about Active Directory?
Yeah, you move into Entra, you move into Azure. Are you going to use an identity platform?
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, what's that cost? Well, $695 here, $495 there, right, per user, whatever. I mean, that stuff starts adding up.
Yep.
Like I said, it's not so much the fact that you're going to be saving money. It's more of a fact of, okay, is this going to help us grow and scale? Is there a purpose other than the fact that I just want to get rid of my server, right? Servers are fantastic, I think. If you want your stuff in the cloud, you need to be backing that stuff on-prem, in my opinion, right? Microsoft 365, we're educating a lot of clients right now is the fact that, listen, Microsoft they're not doing any backups for you. Mm-mm. There's no retention policy for M365. People, there is no retention policy for M365. If an disgruntled employee deletes a bunch of stuff off of M365 and you don't have it backed up, you're not getting that data. You're not getting the emails, right? So You need to be, backing that up to, I don't like the cloud for backups. That's a conversation for another day, but you need to be having, some sort of network attached storage on premise where you're backing up your data from your database cloud provider for your ERP platform and Microsoft 360 Point to include SharePoint, and all the files.
Yeah, and I think a big point there is your example right there when you need that data that's in the cloud. There's an outage, there's something going on. Microsoft pushed a bad update, which has happened twice in the last 6 months that impacted email pretty heavily. When you're in that moment and you need something, you need it now. And that's why I think a big point of the local network access storage is a big deal, because you don't want to, it is there, it's backed up in the same system or service that is having an outage right now. You know what I mean? So it's
and from a restore standpoint, the fastest place of restoration is on-prem.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Because I've always said, listen, clients are going to come to me for two reasons, two questions. Number one, is my data backed up and secure? Mm-hmm. Yes. Second question, how fast before recovery?
Yeah, what's the return to work?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about it is that if it's in the cloud, I can't, there's no answer. If it's on-premise or back in our retention platform here, we can give you a definite answer, right? That's another thing that makes us a lot different. We're not sending that stuff up to what's the big Wasabi or whatever whatever that nonsense is. It's a true platform. Yeah. Okay, I think the other thing that we're running into, people need to understand, is not everything just goes from on-premise file structure up to SharePoint.
Nope. There's name limits. There's there's character issues. That's actually Jason, I'll call him out, is doing some work for someone, and one of the issues is there's a file limit at a time. I want to say it's 2 million. I could be off there, but the structure and naming of file shares and the files themselves, Microsoft will not support. So what Microsoft has done, I think they've done it well, is they've given you a tool to find that information. And they give you a tool to find that information because they're going to make money if you're moving that data to the cloud. Yep. So part of it is we prep those changes a week or two out, because we're acknowledging, hey, we're going to run this check, and there's some things we're going to have to change. We're going to have to make some name changes. We're going to have to restructure some of these files. It's a thing. We can't really necessarily make that decision for the business because it's their employee experience. So there's a conversation there. It's a working, it's a two-sided working relationship there to get it all taken care of.
Well, I mean, and you're going to have someone prepared that's going to be a point of contact for that migration, because there is going to be file name and folder or renaming. Mm-hmm. Right, because there's limitations, right? So I think that's one of the things. And the thing about it, I mean, how many? What was the file count that Jason had to have our client work through? It was a lot.
It was a lot. It was in the million. I think that one was under 2 million files total, but I want to say it was over 1.5 million. It was quite a bit of files. The thing is they operate with a lot of large files too. Yeah. So it was the storage itself. So.
Yeah. So moving, I guess our point is, if you want to get rid of your server, I'm all for it, but you're going to have to jump through a bunch of stuff, right? Because if your computers are all joined to the domain, you can't just turn off the file, the Active Directory. Nope. You got to move it to Entra, move it to the cloud, which is fine. So there's a lot of things. That's probably one of the things that people, maybe Microsoft, it's all rosy. It's like candy. Yeah. They talk about how good it is, but then when you get into it, it's really, what it's going to cost to get that done. So IT costs are IT costs. Mm-hmm. Either it's going from CapEx to OpEx. Yeah. Microsoft is a big player in it, and they're getting their dollars there. Okay, so server migrations to SharePoint. Let's talk about book review.
Yeah, book review. We just started a new book.
Yeah. So that's been kind of one of our things here, right? Excellence Wins is on that list. I think I got Extreme Ownership has been on that list.
Leadership.
I got them all sitting right. I got all the heavy hitters sitting right here. What's the book that we're reading right now?
We're going through the 4 agreements right now.
Yeah. Now, the book review participants is rather large.
Yep.
Right. I think we got 21, maybe.
21 now.
Yeah. Okay. Little bit more difficult for us to sit around when, back in the days and read a chapter and then have a big discussion. So what I did was I created a channel inside our teams, right? And let's be honest, Microsoft Teams, of all the things Microsoft done, Teams is they've kind of got that done pretty well.
I'm a big Teams fan.
I'm a big Teams fan too, to be honest with you. We were a Slack shop for a long time, and then voice inside of Teams actually has been done really well, and we're going to talk about that towards the end of the video. But so we created the channel, Book Review, and then we got a sub-channel under that called The Four Agreements. Mm-hmm. And then that's kind of the discussion where we're in. So we just completed Chapter 1. Now we're going to Chapter 2, which is agreement number 1, which is be impeccable with your words. Mm-hmm. Did you read the questions that I kind of put out there?
I did read, yep. Yeah, it was what are you the magician of? I was running and listening to the chapter again this morning. So I've read the book since you gave it to me. I got it a little early. I cheated. So on my runs, I like to listen to books. So
yeah, and even the discussion. So it's completely voluntary, mm-hmm. right? I think it's interesting. I shouldn't say interesting. I think it's really profound on some of the conversations in the chapter in discussion 1.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was basically beliefs and programming and where you get your programming and, all this, other really powerful stuff. And kind of the open conversations that took place there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think the intention behind all the books, obviously, you're trying to coach, right? You're trying to help everyone become leaders and better people, leaders of themselves.
Yep.
But I think some of those discussions in just being able to talk about what these books are trying to go over, you have to be a bit vulnerable. You have to talk about some things. You don't have to.
No, you don't have to.
You don't have to, but when you really sit down and think about it and you do put those answers down, it makes you think.
Yeah, and do you think it makes the team stronger?
Absolutely. Yep.
Why do you think it makes the team stronger?
Well, I think there's a couple reasons. I think people appreciate seeing that maybe some of their experiences, while not the exact same, other people have dealt with.
Yeah.
I also think the ability to understand more about someone makes it easier to work with someone too. I think different people have their own quirks, their ways of doing things they like, dislike, and I think when you're really talking about these kind of topics, you understand that about someone a bit more.
Yeah, you become a little bit more empathetic.
Absolutely.
Right. So the book review, The Four Agreements, it's a powerful book.
Super good.
That is actually going to be part of our onboarding required reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just sets the tone. It's a short book, right? Mm-hmm. It's much like the Sam Parker books, and for you guys that don't know, so our onboarding, right? We have required reading here.
Yep.
They get the Sam Parker books, which is 4 of them. I'm not going to go into those, and then Leadership and Self-Deception, which is another one, right here, which is absolutely fantastic. The thing that I like about books is it just kind of puts everyone on the same page about like what kind of organization that I'm building.
Yeah, what you're a part of.
Right. Yeah. And I would say kind of the experience that we have with our clients from, on the sales and marketing side, it's very similar to the experience that we have for our employees and our staff coming on board.
Yeah.
Because they have no idea like what this is.
No. We actually are just getting ready to get some books ordered for the new hire starting in June.
Yeah, Tanner.
We'll see. Excited to see, what he thinks about it. We talked to him about it a little bit, obviously, when we offered the job, but it's just fun to see, kind of how people take it and what they take away from it.
Well, I mean, Soto's came through that stuff. Gypsy's come through that stuff. Connor's come through that. Like, I mean, we've been rolling it.
Steven.
Right, Steven. Mm-hmm. I think one of the biggest changes that we did is the fact that we had an office copy.
Yep.
And then everyone read the same copies and then signed in. What we're doing now is we're giving everyone their own books.
It's part of like their package, their onboarding package.
Yep, their onboarding package. It's a gift from us to to them because there's really some powerful stuff in there. So, book review is powerful. We haven't done that in a while, and I came across the book and I said, you know what, let's get on it, and it is powerful. The discussions, whatever. All right, let's talk about what else are we doing. We're doing a little bit of leadership training.
Yep.
We're really not, I don't know whether calling it leadership, but it really is leadership. Sue and I, you guys just kind of came through exercise number 1. Mm-hmm. No one in the staff is allowed to talk about it. It's one of 3 exercises. The second one is going to be team building. So we're working on conference room. We're hoping it's going to be across the street.
Yep.
And there'll be an exercise. There'll be 2 exercises in the same setting. Super powerful. All about team building. All about how can I help you guys be the best versions of yourself, right? Because one of the other things is, and I think it's important to understand, when we're reading through the 4 agreements, that's helping you as a person.
Yep.
Who benefits from that? Everyone in your circle, right? The relationship that you're going to have with your parents, the relationship that you have with your brothers and sisters, so your family, the relationship obviously you have with your coworkers here, right? But even the relationship that you have with our clients, right? Because you deal with a lot of our C-suite, right? The decision makers, right? And so that's kind of the thing with me, is the fact that if I can help, and I spend more and more time doing this, and I appreciate you and the fact that because you took the technical stuff off my plate, I can do more of the stuff that's important to us, because we've got to find these leaders, right? Because our plan is to grow internally. Right. We want to bring guys into the technical services team, right? Even if they're part of the solutions team or field services, they're still coming to the going to sit on the team, the TST team, because we want them answering phone calls and seeing systems, because they start to build relationships, but they see the systems and the processes.
They get familiar.
Right? So that is important to me, because we've got to have the right people in the right seats, right? Jim Collins obviously talks about that a lot, but it becomes really powerful when you as a person get to be a better version of yourself.
Absolutely. And I've talked to you about this before in many conversations. I'm a pretty firm believer in how you do one or some things is how you do all things. So if you're becoming a better person, a better brother, husband, whatever it is, I think it's going to make you better in all things. I believe that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it goes back to, let's talk about Horst, right? I mean, Bill the Ritz-Carlton, and he says excellence wins. Horst, if you wanted to redo that, it's excellence always wins. There's no downside to being in excellence. That's not perfection, right? Sometimes we have to just give the excellence for the energy and the resources that we have right now, right? But it doesn't have to be half-assed. So the leadership, the team building exercise, we haven't done anything like this before. So this is going to be really powerful. I will say exercise number 1 that you guys did is going to be part of the standard onboarding.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I only know about exercise 1. Obviously, it's a secret, so I don't know what 2 is. I'm excited. I know, like you said, we're hoping to get a room rented out for it. But I think that first exercise is powerful.
Yeah, well, we can't do it here because, I mean,
we're running
for all intents and purposes. Okay, so co-managed server migrations. I think we got all this stuff here too. Oh, let's talk about one of the things, a big push for us with the new website is our cybersecurity audit. So security for us, and you and I can go back and forth, and with the industry, the difference between an MSP and an MSSP, and what the industry wants you to be. Right, you got to be certified. You got to be certified. Whether we do that, don't do that. That's here nor there. But security is a big thing for us.
Security is a big thing. Right.
We're always talking about it. We've got it on the website now. But one of the things that we added was we are providing and have a service for a cybersecurity audit. Why don't you tell us why I stressed over the word something other than quote unquote assessment?
Yeah, well, I think there's a big in the MSP industry, there's a big loss leader that is the security assessment. It's this just kind of thrown out. Give us a chance. We'll do this, right? And
let me come in and we'll put a tool on your network and we'll get some information and we'll tell you all the shit that's bad.
Yep. And a lot of these tools now, because of all the things that security is, obviously a lot of it's automated. And I think a lot of what the other companies are doing is they run this tool and then they just, here you go. Here, I'm not going to help you understand it. We're not going to remediate it. Here's just a thing. No conversation, no meeting. So the emphasis on audit is because it is a conversation. Our goal is to not just run this, dump you a bunch of pages of reports and why you have a bad grade and then see you goodbye. The intention behind it is let's have a conversation and let's tell you why this is applicable to you, why this is risky, so you can make the decision if that's what you're going to take on. It's a deep dive. It is not just it's not a run and done. On to the next
loss
one.
leader,
Yeah.
right? Hey, I'm going to come in. Let's have a conversation. Let me do a free cybersecurity audit, or assessment, and then whatever. No, we're not doing that. First of all, our time is valuable, right? We're more than willing to help you out, right? These deep dives somewhere between 20 and 30 hours, right? I mean, that's like having the IRS agent show up and sending you a note and saying, hey, listen, I'm going to be here in 2 weeks, and we're going to spend some time going over the audit.
Yep.
The IRS is not sending you an assessment.
No, it's an audit.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so I chose the word audit because I wanted to have teeth, right? I wanted to mean something. Now, let's talk about the other important thing about the cybersecurity audit is, so when we bring on a new client, right, a couple things. First of all, we migrate them and integrate them into our stack or our tools, right? Some of that is hardware, right? What firewall we're using, what switches we're using, what we're doing for NAS, what we're doing for whatever, right? But one of the things, so that's on the migration integration side, but there's this other third word that is very dangerous, right? And that's the word adoption. So when we onboard a client, let's say they've been with another MSP for 5 years, okay? When we migrate them and integrate them in our systems, we then naturally adopt the previous IT's 5 years of practices. Okay? What we've found is the fact that our baseline and our practices are typically not in alignment with previous IT. Right? And so the thing is the fact that, so we get access to your server, okay? But if you have not, your previous IT have not been upgrading, right, from, let's say, 2012 R2 to 2016 to 2019 or whatever, and they've just been kind of rolling through the Active Directory updates and et cetera, there becomes a point in time when we've got to deploy something or we've got to add something and we can't do it because we've got to go in and rebuild Active Directory, group policies or whatever that is, right? That's a very powerful thing. Not to mention, old tools sitting on computers, old tools sitting on servers, all this other stuff. So we want to know all the information up front with our clients. So all of the onboarding clients, our new clients now, and we're going back retroactively, have the option to do a cybersecurity audit. And the cool thing about this is the fact that we run the audit. It's a deep dive, and we find out I shouldn't say skeletons, but we really find out okay, listen, we want the facts.
Yeah.
We can't protect you and help you grow and scale like you do if you don't have the facts.
Yeah.
Okay? And we get the report. And then we work with them to figure out, okay, this is the stuff that we got to mitigate. And then shore them up. I will tell you that most so far of our clients are like, holy hell.
Yeah.
That really is going on, right? That person has not rebooted their Windows computer in 12 months. So there's been zero OS patches, no security patches, none of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a vulnerability, right? That needs to be addressed. So our cybersecurity audit, different from our assessment, and we're super excited about this package. It's rolling out now. We're getting great success, having great success, getting great feedback from that, and we're really putting our clients in a really strong position to get their security shored up.
Yeah, I think it's powerful in a lot of ways too. I think you bring on a new client, and we catch a lot of this when we bring on new clients when we adopt, bad practices or just stale practices, maybe that they haven't updated. But bringing in this tool or this audit gives us the ability to be neutral about it. It's easy to go, previous IT was bad, we want you to do this. But now we have a neutral audit that can say, hey, no, this is what we're dealing with.
It's just the facts.
Here's the facts.
Yeah.
And for current clients, I think it's also, it gives us the ability, like I said, we catch a lot of what the audit catches. But to bring it into all one conversation, and then for road mapping or those quarterly calls to go, here's the riskiest thing going on. What do you think? What do you want to prioritize?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, you're moving this system away next month, so we don't need to worry about that.
Right.
It's a checker for us. And then I also think it's just a truly neutral. Here you go. What should we do? How would you like to proceed?
Yeah, and I think the clients, right, and ownership and C-suite people, like they're intelligent people. Mm-hmm. They're willing to make decisions and shore themselves up. Mostly, they just don't know what they don't know.
Exactly. Yep.
You know what I mean? I didn't know that was going on. Like, who's checking the checker?
Yeah. Or what does that mean? What is that risk? Why is that a vulnerability? Oh, it means you have these so anyone could attack there. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And the tool goes into the specific threat actor, right? Yep. It gives the documentation, whatever. So we're having a lot of success with that. So security really for us for quarter two, like moving forward. I think we've done a lot in quarter one to get that shored up. It was a high priority for us, and we got that done. All right, let's kind of get this thing wrapped up here. Let's talk about what's on the roadmap priorities for us in quarter two.
Yeah, I think we have continued changes we're going to be making to our PSA, that self-service portal. We have Tanner. We have Tanner coming in, start of quarter two. Excited about that. Team continues.
Big rock star guy, KTM guy, dirt biker.
Yeah, dirt bike guy.
Of course, that's the
really excited about
the blue machine.
The other thing is we've really been pushing Team's Voice, right? We're a big fan of that. So I think we've kind of landed on the ability to provide a very good experience in Team's Voice, call quality wise. And, continuing to work on the security audit. The team's growing. We have clients that are making some big moves. And we're just, continuing to bolster our tools and kind of the service we're offering.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to understand we don't need any more clients if we can't take really good care of the ones that we have, right? Mm-hmm. That's a standard quote for me. I need to have that put in quotes somewhere. But that's important for clients to understand.
Yeah.
Like, the most important clients that we have are the clients that rely on us. It's not our future clients, right? But by taking really good care of the ones that we have, our future clients are going to benefit from that, right? So I think we all do that. The one thing I did want to touch base on with Teams Voice is, so for all of our voice customers, and maybe Parrish, this might be a little bit snippet here that we can pull out because we need to start getting the message out. The fact that, so for a long time, right, I cut my teeth in the voice over IP space. We have our own switch. We have our own platform. I'm just going to say this. I'm not overly happy with Tonaquint.
Yeah.
Right. I think that relationship that they did really shit the bed. Not pro client, but I am going to acknowledge the fact that did make me make a decision. The fact that we need to be out of that space. So we've got a lot of voice over IP clients, right, on our UC Forge platform, which has been fantastic, rock solid, stable. Our partners with Bandwidth and our partners with Telnex have been incredible. Mark over at Fusion PBX, right? Great platform on the front end. We're moving away from that.
Yep.
We are going to, and this is kind of the first announcement of that, we're going to abandon our own platform, and we are going to be migrating everyone in a partnership with Microsoft to Microsoft Teams Voice.
Yep.
How has Microsoft Teams Voice been?
It's been incredible. So a big part of the PSA work I've done, that's a lot of what I do outside of working with the team, is just the ability to integrate voice platforms into your tools. We have a client that's actually about to make that decision, and that is a big part of that decision.
Yep.
Teams, obviously Microsoft is the king of a lot of business applications. So the ability for Teams Voice to tie into everything, track calls, call logs, call recording. We have it so it creates a ticket every time we receive a call. That ticket then matches on the number, matches to other issues, matches to the device, the user. It's just a more robust, and that word's kind of thrown around, experience. It really is what it is.
Well, so you and I talk on the phone. We talk strictly through Teams.
Teams, yep.
There's no more extensions.
Mm-mm.
It's all done by identity.
Yep.
Clients call in, so you keep your telephone number. It's feature rich. We can still do groups and auto attendance and time conditions and whatever. We've got a platform to tie it into text.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is really badass.
Yep.
And I'm excited about that. So we'll get Charles on the horn. We'll start. This video is going to be a great piece. Paris, you'll get this clipped out for us to use to really start moving people to that. But we're talking to everyone. Listen, whatever voice platform, we got a big client in Utah that's using
GoToConnect.
Yeah, that's out.
Yep.
Right, that's out. And then what's Ashley using?
Crescendo.
Yeah, that's out.
Yep.
Right. I mean, they're just because they're already natively in Microsoft Teams. This is like natural progression. And to be honest with, what's the license? Is $8 a license,
Yep.
and then it's $10 for the minutes and access to the PSTN.
Yep.
Not per user, but just based on per call.
Yep.
Right. So we'll be talking about that. It's very cost effective.
Well, and that's powerful, not to brag or anything. That's one of the things of you being in the voice over IP industry for so long, and our connections with those partners. We're actually able to offer those minutes separate from Microsoft.
Yeah.
A lot of people that meet with Teams, they're getting, kind of dragged through the dirt with the pricing on the licensing again. We're able to cut that cost a little bit, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
It's a little more
And gives
flexible.
us a shit ton of control.
A lot of control.
Right. So if we can still troubleshoot voice quality, we can still check it back to on the LCR, at least caught en route, and figure out where they're coming in and who did the disconnect and both hands. We can get into the weeds about the technical stuff, but so that's really powerful. So we're going to be making the change over the rest of 2025, moving everyone to Microsoft Teams.
Yep.
I just think that we're already in that space. It's just so powerful.
Yep.
Like I don't even call desk phone, and that's the other thing is, you don't have to put a desk phone on the phones, right? And I just had a conversation with Steve, right? And he's like, Chris, we just brought in Fat Me. We've got this old, what the hell did he tell me? Nortel phone system. We got to buy some new phones. I said, Steve, right? And this is important to understand. Anyone who is putting a phone on a desk is wasting money.
Yep.
Right? I mean, we're past that. That's a backwards technology. There are better ways to do that. Microsoft Teams phone, right? And here's what you have to understand. It's an app, right? When Shez calls me, he's not calling my cell phone. He's calling my Teams identity on my phone.
Yep.
Now, what's cool is I can call out on behalf of ATG.
Yep.
And not give my cell phone.
Nope.
Listen, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
That's a real big thing. So we'll get into the features on a different video. So Windows 10 end of life, that's come up on the radar. So we're communicating
October.
to all. So October, all you people that have Windows 10 machines, that's going to be a big security hole. So we got to get all those updated. We've pulled all the reports. I think we made contact with most of all of our clients.
Yeah, we're in actually a very good spot. I'm pretty not impressed. It's just awesome that we're not really hung up. And anyone that had a larger lift, we started that conversation early.
Yeah.
So anyone that it's a big change, they're already aware. They're already working on it actually. But that'll be October. That'll be a big change.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is it might require a hardware change. That's the biggest thing.
Yep. A lot of it. Yep. There's a minimum processor requirement. TPM's required. So it's a thing.
TPM. What's TPM for?
So that's for BitLocker. So it requires
Security.
a certain TPM chip to work with the operating system. And then I have some family members that still get by on their i6 processors. They're working. Their 6th gen processors. Those don't support. So if they want to upgrade and want to stay secure, they're paying for some hardware. So
yep. So I think we've done that, and then obviously the security stuff too. So, well, that's a wrap. Right. I think for all you guys out there, there's a lot going on here with us, right? I think it's important to understand that we are continuing wanting to be better internally. And if we can be the best version of what ATG can be inside the MSP managed services space, everyone benefits from that.
Yep.
Right. And I think based on, kind of the stuff that we're doing here, and I'd also say, listen, you got any questions about, what we're doing and maybe how you can do it in your organization, I'm more than happy always to have those conversations. You send me an email or, pick up the phone and call me or, surprise me and showing up at the office.
We love that.
Yeah. We love it when clients come in and visit us. Okay. Shez, I appreciate you. We're going to get this on the schedule. I think these are powerful. So we're going to put the Q2 on the calendar. So it's the end of June. So probably first week in July. Well, it won't be the first week. That's 4th of July. So we'll have that, but we'll get it out there. So we'll do Q2, Q3, and Q4. I just think it's good. And I think it's good for you to come in and talk about kind of what you got going on with your team and, all the crazy stuff great stuff that we're doing here too. So
yeah, what we're getting done, what we're moving towards.
Yeah, exactly too. So, all right. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
thanks to everyone and we'll be in touch.
Yeah. See ya.